boy and give them porno and video games and all these distractions and take away God and take away religion and take away families, then you have all these very easy to control little boys in cubicles. And the men in power get to stay in power, and the men who would rise up and take power, they're disabled. So this is really just about power here, and it's about keeping the new young men down and keeping the old guys in power.
Yeah, there was the viral video was a guy who, you've probably seen it. He's definitely a soy boy, and he kind of sticks his tongue out, and he's got a purple hood on, and he does like a 360 kick to a woman. He kicks a woman because she's pro-life. And recently, and he actually regrets it, but recently the video kind of resurfaced and went viral. Someone tweeted out, "I still stand with this king. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, let me tell you something. That individual right there, the loins of that individual will never be a king, have never been a king, and could never even hold any position of earned power. And so it's just the funniest thing. They take the weakest, most pathetic men and they say, that's a king. But in the old kings used to ride into battle on the front line. Like, that's how they became king. That little sucker would never be a king. He'd be on the back line picking up the rest of their excrement.
Well, this is what the cycles of history are. I mean, we're going from good times create weak men since 2000 to 2020, and then we're going to go back into hard times create strong men. And you know what? Oh, and I think there's hope because we will have a pretty hard event coming up, I think, in 2020. Between 2020 and 2026, I think there's going to be a pretty hard time happening. And I think it's going to snap a lot of these guys out of this. And I think we're going to throw a lot of this nonsense away at some point because it just can't last on its own in nature. So hard times do create strong men.
All right, if you are a competitive weightlifter and you hold world records as a male weightlifter, please just go to Spirit, break every women's weightlifting record just to show how insane it is.
The global controllers are very smart in some ways, very ignorant in others, but they understand the power of archetypes. And I never knew when I started out on my quest 25 years ago to restore the American Republic that I would end up being a major leader in it. I just simply thought I'd be one more voice calling on the people to stand up and get involved in their own destinies. But it became clear 8-9 years ago, even in Newsweek and Time Magazine, they said Alex Jones is the mad prophet of the Tea Party. In the wilderness, he must be stopped. And all these years later, I realized that I didn't invent the ideas I'm promoting. I'm simply promoting free market, Renaissance, Americana, and ideas that are diametrically opposed to authoritarian systems, whether they be fascist, communist, or socialist. But nevertheless, InfoWars has been chosen by the enemy as the symbol of Americana, as the card. And if they can demonize it, if they can lie about it, and if they can destroy it, they believe they can demoralize you and make you give up. So, please hold InfoWars up. Please promote it. Please support it. I personally hope that we can survive this. But even if we don't think a defeat of an individual or an organization is an expression of who you are, because you are the listeners and viewers that actually made InfoWars the success it is. Yes, I selfishly want to continue on with the future, but I don't want you to ever think that if I'm set up, killed, destroyed, imprisoned, lied about with their fake narratives, that we're losers. We did the right thing and told the truth, and we've already changed the world. So you need to continue on. But we're at that fork in the road. Will InfoWars continue on to fight more battles and win more battles thanks to your support? Or will we be destroyed? And then you have to move on and not be demoralized. We're at that point. It's financial. In the end of the day, money talks, BS walks. Funding allows us to operate and expand and defeat the enemy. Not having money shuts us down and we're defeated. And once we've been silenced, the enemy can lie about us all they want. We're running Memorial Day specials right through next week. Some of the biggest sales we've ever done. 60% off Extendawise for cardiovascular and heart. It's the best formula out there. MycoZX, instead of just a probiotic, it's anti-fungus, anti-candida mold for your guts. Amazing. Try it for yourself. 60% off. 50% off our new 8-pack Power Stack Bodies Ultimate Turmeric Formula, Vitamineral Fusion, Ultimate Bone Broth, Super Male Vitality. That's 50% off. 40% off Turbo Force back in stock, and the chocolate and vanilla protein bars that are the best out there. There's a bunch of other specials as well, but we try to make it symbiotic. Great products at great prices that make your life better, that then fund our operation. Whatever you do, commit now, like you've already done, to take action, whether it's word of mouth or praying for us or buying the products or all three. You've already changed the world. And I humbly come to you with respect and thank you again for what you've done for myself, for my children, and for your children, and for all of our own destinies, because this is an incredible time in humanity at that fork in the road or at that crossroads. But whatever you do, never give in to the globalist, never give in to your humanity, never believe you're a piece of crap, never believe that humanity sucks, because that is a lie of the old serpent, Satan.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Stefan Aarnio is my guest. His book, Hard Times, Strong Men. I love his foundational precept. Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times create strong men, and the cycle begins. And so we're discussing how masculinity has been under attack and in many cases destroyed in the West. You know, we recognize that here at InfoWars, and we know why this is going on. It's the media, it's the chemicals in the food and water, it's the pornography, it's all of it. It really is all of it. And, you know, in fact, you know, I'll just say this because it's not said enough, and I understand why. And I'm not attacking the porn industry, because actually there's actually a lot of good people that are woke and listen to InfoWars, believe it or not, good people. And, you know, they're just making a living. But honestly, if there's young men listening to this, you need to just avoid pornography at all costs. Just avoid it. Do not masturbate. It's bad. It is bad for you. It destroys your masculinity. It destroys your testosterone levels, and it kills your instinct to procreate and to find a woman. Okay? And the science is out there. The numbers are out there. It's bad. Okay? Now, I'm not sitting here saying you're bad if you do that. I'm just telling young men out there, you're handicapping your masculinity big time when you engage in pornography and watching pornography. It kills your masculinity. It kills your testosterone. It kills your drive. And that's just one aspect of society that is hurting men's drive. But you have the chemical aspect as well. And so we realize that, and that's why at InfoWarsStore.com we have Alpha Power, Vital Male Androgen Biosynthesis Promoter, an amazing product. Honestly, this thing works so good, folks, I can't use it, okay? I'll just leave it at that. This is too powerful for me. But other people have found this to be an incredible product, and it is. But I do take the Super Male Vitality from InfoWarsStore.com twice a day, once in the morning and then once in the evening before my workout. So I highly recommend both of these products. Again, the Alpha Power, for me, it's too powerful. I don't necessarily need that much male vitality. I'll just put it to you that way. But the Super Male Vitality, amazing. InfoWarsStore.com. It's 50% off. I take it twice a day. It's just great. It gives you that extra energy and that vitality that you've been missing. So Stefan Aarnio, my guest, he wrote the book, Hard Times, Strong Men. You know, you said something in the last second. I'd like you to kind of keep going down that road. You said you're expecting some hard times coming for 2020 to 2016 to create some strong men. What do you envision or see coming?
So there's two historical cycles that are converging between 2020 and 2026. One is the 80-year cycle of war. And the last time we had hard times create strong men, that was in 1940 and World War II. And so 20 years, 20 years, 20 years, 20 years, 4 sets of 20, that's 4 generations later, is 2020. And so every 80 years we have a big war. And if you don't believe that, you can look at 80 years before World War II was the American Civil War, about 1860. So, we got about an 80-year cycle there. So 80 years added on to 1940 is 2020, and that could be the next global conflict. So that cycle is coming to an end right now, pretty much, in the next year. And then the other cycle that's converging about the same time is the 250-year lifespan of democracy. And America started in 1776, and 250 years added onto that is 2026. So that's usually where we turn into a tyranny. In Rome, it went from a republic to an empire. Julius Caesar took over. So we might end up with an emperor and not even know it. So there's 2 major things happening there, and I hope they don't happen, but that's history, and it repeats itself over and over again.
Well, this is actually crazy to kind of go off the deep end into the occult, if you will. There's the old internet, I guess you could call it a meme or theory, that Donald Trump is a time traveler. Have you seen this with the old?
Oh yeah, from the Simpsons and stuff.
The Ingersoll Lockwood novels. Have you seen these Ingersoll Lockwood novels?
I think I heard about them.
So there's one of them. Anyway, Ingersoll Lockwood was writing in the late 1800s, and I believe his last book was like maybe 1898, something like that. It was The Last President, and it talks about the last president in the U.S., and it's talking about Donald Trump. It talks about a fire to Trump Tower in New York. It literally mentions the address of Trump Hotel in New York. It talks about the kid that Ingersoll Lockwood originally wrote about, Barron Trump. Anyway, I'm going off on a jag, but my point is that's wild that you say that, because I think that everybody's kind of on that same path. I was actually talking about this last night too, where I think once 2020 hits, it's like a flashpoint. And I think between 2020 to 2030, the world is going to change so drastically. Once 2030 gets here, we're not even going to recognize it. I can't even envision 2030, to be honest with you.
Well, there's a lot of things changing. I mean, technology is going fast. That's changing. You've got the society changing. I mean, like, I wouldn't have even written a book like Hard Times Create Strong Men 5 years ago. I wouldn't have even imagined it. I wouldn't imagine this 10 years ago, but the rate of change is just happening so fast that we can't even really see what's coming. I think you're right, Owen.
Now, what do you see in the new youth that's kind of coming up right now, that the Gen Zs that seem to not be buying into the liberal indoctrination, seem to be going the opposite direction? What do you see in the development of those males?
Well, I think that there's always a backlash with generations. Things go one way and then they go the other way, and then they go back and forth like a pendulum. So, it's kind of like when I was younger, my dad was a downhill skier. Well, we rejected downhill skiing. My generation became snowboarders, and now the young kids are rejecting snowboarding, going back to skiing. So whatever the liberalism being so popular, if that's popular now, the next generation is going to find all the holes in it, and we're going to go back in the other direction. So I think it's actually pretty hopeful. And the Gen Zs they're pretty smart young people, and I've actually got a lot of them hired in my company.
All right, final question. We got 60 seconds. If you could give young men listening to the show a bit of advice, what would it be?
Well, I think that they have to define what it means to be a man. And number one is your purpose is your work. So find your purpose, find your work, and read Hard Times Create Strong Men. It'll straighten you out in money, sex, religion, and politics.
Yeah, and they try to make it like this bad thing if you write about being a man, and it's just like, what, men aren't allowed to have, it's like men aren't allowed to have men's clubs or go to a cigar club. It's like, but no, they don't want it. They don't want that anymore. And you know why. You highlighted in your book. HardTimesStrongmen.com is the website. Stefan Aarnio. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Owen. A great beard.
Why, thank you. Does this pass the strong times create hard men test, this beard?
Yeah, bro, you got better sides than me. My signs are kind of patchy. I need some of that to supplement your
Yeah, you got to get the Super Male Vitality. All right, I'll it away. I just rub it all over my face. That's what it is. I actually shaved this morning. I shaved this morning. I had a bare face, and then I just rubbed Super Male Vitality, and this is what I got. I don't know how it happened. It's crazy.
Eisenhower said, beware the military-industrial complex, and I would say that needs to be